Woohoo! All right, everyone. Welcome to Brazos Podcast. Brazos, episode 8.
Here
Episode
we are
8.
again.
Here we are again. We're going to talk about, well, first of all, my friend Coruja Diao. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great. What about you, my friend?
Just another day in paradise. Just another day in paradise.
So you're back in paradise, right?
Back in paradise, back in San Francisco. Enjoying a gloomy day. It's very ugly, but what can we do? There are worse things in life. Yeah, snowboarding season.
I'm more I'm uglier than the gloomy day in San Francisco. So that's good.
Yeah,
That's all good, man.
yeah, snowboarding season is finally over. I had my last day on Friday. It was a powder day. Uh,
Wow.
it was good. Now, hopefully, surfing season starts for me again, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right.
and but I did get to watch pretty much all the event. Got to watch the finals. I got to watch the semis. We're gonna talk about that. I loved it. I thought it was very eventful, very entertaining. The quality of surfing was fantastic.
Oh
I
yeah.
re- I really enjoyed the waves, especially on quarterfinals, round of 16. I thought the conditions were really good. It was a pleasure to watch. But overall, what were your impressions? Did you enjoy it? Any highlights, lowlights? What was your
Man,
overall take?
yeah, actually, I like for us here, I think it's almost the same for you, but for us, the time difference from like between Australia and Brazil is it's really hard for us to watch the heats live. So we get to watch them from let's say 6 p.m., which is really good, until like 10 p.m. And then I go to bed because I wake up really early, like 5 o'clock in the morning. So I couldn't watch like everything as I used to do when I was younger because now, almost 40 years old, things get harder.
Heaven knows. Heaven
So
knows.
yeah, but jokes aside, man, it was a great event in my opinion. So many people they like hate to watch Bells Beach event, and I'm not one of those because when the waves are like that, hitting the ball perfectly with like perfect canvas for the surfers to do their turns, I really like them. I really like
Yeah,
the heats. I really like the performances. I love to watch carves, rail turns, not only airs and barrels. And rail turns are really my favorite to watch. And that event had uh, until the like not the last day. Last day was pretty small, but the days previous were really good, and I
I
really enjoyed
agree.
them.
Yeah, especially the days where the wind was light. When the wind was light
Yeah,
and it was clean, it was just like beautiful, you know?
yeah, it was so glassy and
Yeah, it
like
was
it seems that Bells has that soft lip, you know. So the pocket of the wave,
right.
uh, like of course the end section is heavy, but I think I've never surfed there, but I may be wrong, but it feels like it's perfect for whichever turn you choose to do.
Yeah,
Just can
and
hit really hard.
correct me if I'm wrong here, but I thought even though the wave didn't have as much of a wedge as Trestles, I felt like particularly this event, right? Not bells in general, but I thought this event was very Trestles like a lot of space for maneuvers, a lot of space for carves, and some opportunity for airs here and there, as we've seen in the final. But I one of my favorite things about it, there a lot of the waves was fins to the sand, fins to sand,
Yeah,
like any at the beach. I love that. Like that's one of my favorite things when you're watching a contest, like you just know that a surfer is going take extracting as much as he can from the wave. That's like one of my favorite things. And
yeah, that's good to watch, man. I like that as well.
nice, bro. All right. Well, there's so much to talk about. There's so much controversy. There's so much, but like, let's start easy. Let's start easy. I mean, first of all, I would love to hear from you. What are like your favorite athletes on the women's side and on the men's side? and some maybe some athletes that you're expecting a little more that didn't pan out. Just like yeah, just go more, a little more specific. Who you're surprised by, enjoyed the surfing, so on.
Oh man, on the women's side, I was really surprised by Tyler Wright,
Of
and I
course,
mean surprised because we haven't seen her perform the old Tyler surfing for a long while, and she was back on that best form that took her like to world title and everything. So it was a great surprise in my opinion. I just loved to see her surfing and the way she was connected to the ocean and to the waves. She was always on the best waves. She knew that she had to be on the best waves to beat Carissa in the final, and she did like fair and square. She just destroyed in the final. Carissa couldn't even react, and I was really happy to see her back. Like healthy because she had some like issues in the previous months or in maybe previous years, and now she seems to be back on track. And also, I like a lot to see Bronte Macaulay surfing since the round one. I saw a wave of her round one heat that was amazing. Her backhand was just on point, and I felt she could be dangerous, and she proved she was dangerous by beating Tatiana Westaway on all goofy heat. And Tati, she's up. She's always on these ups and downs. So after winning an event, she goes to Bells and loses on the third round, and then she can go to Margaret River next week and win it again. So it's I think she lacks a little bit of consistency during the year. Surfing is there and everything. On the men's side, my favorite to watch during the first rounds was John because he was doing
killing it.
huge turns. I still feel that he needs to improve on his forehand hacks when the waves are not too steep. When the wave gets a little bit weak and fat, his forehand carve is not as good as I think it should be. But when the wave has beef and has power and has a big area, he's unbeatable. And yeah, I was expecting a better hit from him against Felipe, but Felipe was, I think, he was in another gear the whole event. I mean, his
Right.
speed was just from another planet, man. He's always so fast, and then
When he's
when you
on,
get
is yeah,
yeah, and then when you get into 3 foot waves, he's unbeatable. He was just uh, in another gear, as I said, even changing boards and everything. He was ripping all the way. I think if he had to run like 10 hits against all those competitors on 3 foot waves, he would have won like 90% of the
yeah,
hits. So the guy, not that he's a small wave surfer. He proves he can surf bigger waves very well, but when they are 3 or 4 foot, he's really unbeatable, man. It's just
it's
amazing.
true. And
And
it's one thing that I noticed on this event too. He was very like very few mistakes. The only time I've
yeah,
seen him make mistakes, like sometime letting a wave go under his priority, but I never seen like actual like surfing mistakes here and there. Like
yeah,
he was like stomping everything. But since you talk a lot about the positives, I'm gonna try to highlight a little bit of like some of the things that I was expecting a lot more and was a little disappointed. And one of the heats that I was slightly disappointed by on the women's side was the heat between Carissa Moore and Stephanie Gilmore,
yeah,
because I don't know if you watched that one, but the conditions were really good and they both had a pretty good first exchange. And then
yeah,
on the second exchange, they both fell very uncharacteristically, in a very weird way, unusual way for them. It was like they were doing like normal turns that sometimes they would do with their eyes closed, and and then the ocean kind of went on a low, kind of calmed down a little bit. There was no waves, and then we had another exchange at the end that was pretty good, but like it was like a combo of like the ocean was not firing all the time, and then when it was, they were not on. Neither of them were like did their best surfing,
Hmm.
so I was expecting a little more there. And then the other one that I was expecting a little more was the goat. I was expecting a little more from Kelly, just from him being so experienced there, and obviously, I forgot the Hawaiian kid beat him. He had a real long name. The kid with the blonde hair. Oh
Bet,
man,
Bet Sakura Johnson.
was it? I don't think so. It was like a
Oh,
very
the man.
the man that beat Kelly's
Oh,
later.
Mike Allen default. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes. Yeah.
he surfed great. He surfed great against Kelly, and he was like, dude, that kid is like, when he was like on, his surfing was incredible. It was incredible. But I was just expecting Kelly to go a little further. Kind of messed up my fantasy a little bit,
Yeah.
but Felipe made it up for it because he was like my 2x surfer. So that was nice that he
Yeah.
won. But yeah, so those two, Stephanie there, and then obviously the other low light, which we're gonna get into it, was the judging. Right, very, very a lot of controversy there. A lot of Brazilian surfers and the Brazilian audience is really upset. And most of the times, you and me go like, "Hey, this is not justified. This is just surfing. It could go either way." But I think this time, and I want to put it this way, I don't think it was like no one was robbed, no one was trying to, harm any surfer or this way or another way. It was not intentional, but there was again a lack of consistency in the judging. Maybe we could even say there were some errors there. And I will even throw the benefit of a doubt, like for Italo's. All right, let's just jump into it, right? So for Italo's wave, and I want to let you go your more extended analysis on this. I thought it could go either way between him and Jack Robinson. Like I thought it was close. I thought maybe I would have given to Italo a better score, especially on his first wave. But I thought overall it was close. It was close.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a big discrepancy. But then, like you told me before, and the Miguel one to me was worse. Uh, yeah. So first, I would love to hear you talk about the judging overall in the context, and then those two scenarios that happened there.
Yeah, man. It's hard because like when you're watching live, you can have some impression. You can have an impression. And then when you have to wake up and then watch the waves after you already saw the scores. I remember waking up and getting my cell phone, going to the toilet, and sitting there and see like it was so close, and I was like, oh no. And then before I watched the waves, I went to Instagram and opened WSL page and start to read the
Oh
comments
yeah, no,
because I knew like when
yeah,
it's that close, it's always robbed for the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
major of
yeah,
the Brazilian
yes.
uh,
The
people that,
Brazos, the Brazos
yeah,
were on fire.
yeah, that's it. And then, man, it was dirty there. Not too like not too busy because most of the people were sleeping, but still like lots of comments saying, yeah, you got robbed, and putting like forks, as we say in Portuguese, like that.
File
When, yeah, when we say like garfado, which means like
been stabbed.
it's, yeah, they stabbed you with a fork. And then I was like, oh no, this again, it happens all the time. And then when I watch the waves, um, I felt like I watched the exchange between Italo and Jack Robinson, the last exchange, and I felt like Italo waves were like his wave was better, and they gave him a 6-7, and they gave Jack Robinson a 7. He had a pair of sevens, and then after that I watched it like the whole heat or the condensed replay, and I felt that Italy won the heat, but I didn't feel it was like like a dirty or an absurd result.
Yeah.
Jack winning.
I have a question for
I
you.
think it could have gone either way, as you said. In my books, I think Italy won the heat, but still, I would accept
Uh,
Jack winning easily, like no problem,
I, I
like no drama.
I have a question for you. I thought, because this is how I saw the Heat, and I love, and I'm super open to be wrong here, but I thought Italy's second wave, the 6.7, was slightly, maybe slightly underscored. Maybe it could have gone like a 7, maybe a 7.8, 7.10, 7.9, but it wasn't that round. I think like on the range, like let's say the maximum range for that wave was like maybe a 7.2, and then the lowest range was a 6.7, and he got the lowest range, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just speculating, right? But in my opinion, I thought his first wave, the 7.1, from my like non, I'm not a judge or not a specialist. I thought that was more underscored than the first one, because even I think Rabbit, I think it was Rabbit Bartholomew. I don't remember who
yeah.
was at the broadcast. They thought it was going to be a high 7, close to an excellent range, close to a 7.8, 7.9. I don't know if I would call it that, but I thought at least a 7.5, 7.4.
Yeah, like
So
small points that would have made the difference at the end.
difference.
In my opinion, it's the same as yours. Like half point better here, like half point better there, and then you have a 1 point difference, and that's enough.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, I was watching Renan Rocha commenting today on the Brazilian podcast here, guys, called Série ao Fundo.
Yeah,
That, for those who don't know, Renan Rocha is like a former CT surfer. Is a very he's like a surfer influencer in Brazil still. Like, he's part of the biggest Brazilian surfing podcast there is. And he was commenting that, I'm pretty sure it was him, was saying that all the goofies were slightly underscored in this event. And I stopped to think about, and I think it's hard to say that that was always the case, but I can see why, right? Like, I can see why he said that, and that was something I wanted to bring up to you. If you thought it was harder to score the goofies on that wave based on how much they have to pivot more, and because like obviously if you have to pivot more, you need a little more ledge to throw the per deck more than the regulars. So how do you see it?
yeah. We've seen in the past. We've seen conditions that suited the goofies better than this year's conditions. Remember when Ito won the event against Big Fanning, his first win?
Right.
The waves were more windy. They had steeper faces and leaps to hit. And these waves at this event, I think they were more down the line. Not they were fast, but they
For
were
sure.
more they were more suited for carves. And then you have regulars advantage. But I really like saw amazing waves being surfed by Owen Wright, who's a guy that does an almost perfect backhand carve or off the lip. The way he like his mechanics, his technique is almost perfect. Usually I have his images to show the guys that I'm training about how to turn on your backhand. I even have images of him regular footer, or just
Do,
mirror
do
the
you
image
show
because
do you show
I
your
like the way.
students do you show your students
Yeah,
David Silva as well? Because I love his
I,
backside.
yeah, yeah, man. He's the most aggressive for sure. The way he heats and explodes water. But I
Right.
still prefer Owen Wright's approach. So I just stick to one or two guys, and the other guy that I really appreciate the backhand surfing is Miguel Pupo. And then
Oh yeah.
talking about Miguel, then in my opinion, there was a mistake on the judgment. Um, Nobody gets robbed. This is
Right.
important to mention. Okay, but people do make mistakes, and I do make mistakes all the time. And I think they made a mistake giving Callum Robson, who served great the whole event, um, giving him the win because there's one thing that I don't agree, with all the respect to the guys that are judging there and all the judging panel. But I don't agree at all with the way that they judge the size of the wave in spots like Bells Beach. Of course, if you were talking about
Pipeline.
waves of consequence,
Yeah.
pipelines, G-Line,
Chopo.
Chopes, Tavarua, even Sunset, or even a beach break like Hostelbor or Portugal, or even Saquarema, but places that you have like massive barrels, then of course the size of the wave it matters a lot. They're usually harder and thicker and everything. But in a wave like Bells, surfing a 5 foot wave or a 4 foot wave, it doesn't make a difference. Sometimes even the smaller wave, it's steeper
Spongier.
and
Yeah.
yeah, then it's punchier and then hits the bottom better. And that's what happened to Miguel, man. He was a victim of something that I don't agree, like judging the size of the wave in a spot like Bells Beach. He caught a wave. There was a little, like, was slightly smaller than the set waves, the bigger waves of the set. And then he did like two great turns, first and second turn, especially the second turn was like upside down.
Beautiful.
Just
Yeah.
yeah, he did like uh, the, the whole board just went through the same place, you know, like as we say in Portuguese when we are judging, like uh, not in Portuguese, but where the nose of the wave goes, the tail follows, you know. So it was a complete movement. It was not just hitting
It was a
with the
complete
bottom of
arch.
the
Yeah.
yeah, it was a complete arch, and then he even pointed the nose of his board towards the foam, you know, like
Yeah. Almost like a
inverted
cutback. Yeah.
direction,
Almost like if he was going
like
to. Yeah.
boom, upside down, complete, and like the transition between those two maneuvers was just perfect.
Perfect.
And then, in my opinion, just those two first turns was like the wave was already a 5.5 at least, and then he still did like some cutbacks on the fat part of the wave, and then small turns, and then he finished the wave really well on the shore. You know, it was a hard hit on the shore. And then I thought to myself like, okay, that's a 6.5 or something, maybe even better. But like thinking about that, knowing that they don't score smaller waves the way they score bigger waves, I thought a 6.5. And then score came as a 5.4. I was like, no, this does not
Yeah.
exist, you know. And then
I,
you see like Kalum's wave was a 5. I think it was. I'm gonna just see here. I think it was 5.87 or something like that. Let me see here. It was 5.87, and then you watch his wave, and it was not better than Miguel's, and
No.
never will be,
Eh,
never. But
eh,
it was bigger. It was bigger. So come on, that's not right, in my opinion.
I agree.
And just to finish this, uh, and that's something that caught my attention when I saw the scores. I opened the scores, and then I'm gonna tell you the scores were for Miguel's wave 6.5 from a Brazilian judge, a 5 from an Australian judge, and from a Basque country judge. So you have a big spread. You have a 5.2
And
fives
6.5.
and 1.65. So you have like three judges. They gave him and the other Australian judge gave a 5.2. So you have three judges in the regular scale, which for to 5.9. And then you have two judges on the good wave scale, which is between 6 points and 7.9. So the two Brazilian judges gave Miguel a better score, but one of them was 6.5 and two judges gave him 5. And then, just to finish, I went to see his previous wave, which was a 7.6. And the same judge that gave him a 6.5 on the other wave gave him an 8.5 on this wave. So this judge, he considered that Miguel had a 15-point hit. Okay, 6.5 plus 8.5.
Right.
All right. And then the Australian judge gave him a 7 on the same wave. So for this Australian judge, Miguel had a 12-point total. So this is totally wrong, in my opinion.
Totally. And
I mean, those guys, they went to the cut, because we have 5 judges in the panel, and the highest and lowest, they just get cut. And then we have the average of the 3 middle scores. So, okay, these scores, they didn't matter for the average, but still, in my opinion, you cannot have a judge thinking that a surfer had a 15 total, and then the other judge think the surfer, no, he didn't have a 15 total, he had a 12 total.
It's a huge difference. Yeah.
It's a huge difference, man. So I couldn't understand that. And
that's another thing that it's weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, because I thought Miguel's and like I said, I agree with you. The waves were not that different size-wise. It was not a huge difference. But Miguel's maneuvers had a lot more amplitude. We always talk about, like you were talking about the arch, right? They're very amplitude. Rail, they cover more of the face of the wave. It was more challenging. It was more radical. It was more prettier, it has more style. And the thing that it also becomes, if you go to wave choice, when it's like a huge difference in wave size, like we're talking about like 2 or 3 feet difference between one wave to the other, or if you're talking about an ocean that it's firing and it's like nonstop, and then you have like a huger wave in the set, completely agree. But it wasn't the case. It was like, because then you're kind of like rewarding luck in a way, like, oh, you had the priority when the best wave of the set came, so you're rewarding the luck, you're not rewarding the surfing.
Yeah.
Right. And also the thing too that I wanted to bring this further, because I find this, and I want to make sure I understand this right before I criticize it or suggest something different. So we always have 5 judges scoring, right, of the event. Do we have any rotation between those judges during the day, or is it always the same 5 judges judging the whole event?
No, there are usually 7 judges.
Okay.
And then you usually have the same 7 judges, or 6 or 7 or 8 judges that are traveling the tour. And then you have like a local judge who is always invited to be part of the panel on that specific event. So we have like some guys, they just take turns, but most of the guys, they travel the whole globe and they judge all events. And in this case, I just knew today that the Brazilian judge from Florianopolis, very experienced, very good judge, like example for all of us, Luis Antonio Dantas. He was not in Australia. And new generation judge Renato Galvão was there. So I think it was, I don't know, I'm not sure if it was his first CT event ever, but I know he already worked on several QSs and Challenger Series events. So if he's there, he's prepared. Not to mention that the guy rips the waves. He's a former Brazilian professional champion.
Yeah.
He almost qualified for the World Tour. He spent a good decade competing on the QS. So, man, Renato is a really good judge, and I'm sure he has a great future there. So,
and the reason
I like that, having this um, this new generation coming. So it sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason why I ask is I think, again, these two heats were last heats of today, right? So
Yeah.
if you have the same guys judging all day under the sun, you know, comes the end of the day, you're going to be more prone to mistakes because you're
Not
tired,
under the sun, under the air condition.
right? Whatever, you know, but
No,
like
I'm just kidding. Man.
it's a high stress environment, right? Like
Totally,
you're under
totally.
pressure.
I
There's
agree.
there's a lot going
That's
on.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're judging there for like 8, 9, 10, who knows how many hours. And it comes the end of the day. It was like it's the same thing. Like I think it was Portugal. We're talking about uh Griffin's there, and it was like again last heat of the day.
Yeah,
You
they're
know,
more
it's like
prone to make mistakes or
yeah. So what am I going with this? I think if ever heat you have 5 judges, you need a backup for each of those judges to be rotating throughout the day
that's it.
because because and also like avoid. I know this next suggestion, and of course WSL is for sure watching, but like this next suggestion that I would have, like avoid as much as you can, and I know it is impossible, but like avoid as much as you can to have a judge from the same nationality as the surfer. I know it's impossible. That one is a little more tricky to make it happen, right? But man, like the having like a backup for each judge and having them rotate, like the commentators don't go all day, you know. No one goes all day. The surfers don't go all day. The
There's
commentators
one
don't go
guy
all
that
day.
goes all day. There's one guy,
Who?
the priority judge.
The priority judge, right?
Man, Ratso from New Zealand, man, he just leaves the place to go to the toilet for a few minutes and have
Yeah,
lunch, and
and
that's
then
it.
that's my
Like
point. And
tiring.
like, and we're seeing over and over these like controversial heats being at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like there's a human error, and it's like not the guy's fault. I just think they need a more rotation. They need well rested judges that are coming in, and you know, obviously, like you can have like them following up, and it's weird because like obviously Italo's reaction was far greater than Miguel's, right? Because that's just their personality, it's just like who they are. Italo's was way more upset afterwards, and like he causes the headlines. He's a world champion. He's an Olympic champion, but this is not about Italo. This is not about Brazil. This is about like there's a problem with how the judging is happening, and it's been happening almost at every event. And we're seeing a pattern where the mistakes are happening more towards the end of the day. So
Yeah, that's true.
that equals a lot to we need more rotation between the judges. Their errors are going to happen, but you can minimize them with less fatigue. It's the same thing as you're driving. You know, most of the accidents happen when you're less than like 30 minutes from home because you're fatigued, you're tired, your concentration is not the same as it was
Yeah,
before. So, you know, like, and then we can go over to other things too. But like, these could cost Miguel or Italo a spot on the top 5 at the end of the year. You know, and
yeah.
for a different surfer, for a different
Actually,
surfer,
Miguel, if Miguel had
made it.
the result that he deserved, he was gonna be on the 4th place of the rankings
Yeah,
already.
top 5. Yeah, exactly.
So 5.
So, which you know, it's huge. He is having like arguably his best season so far in the CT, and his surfing is there, his mindset is there. So it's just like it's a big responsibility to not do that, and it would not be the most expensive thing for WSL to do. You know, and it would help a lot. It would take some of the pressure out of the judges as well. You know, it would like
Yeah,
it would divide the pressure. So it's just unfortunate, you know. But yeah,
yeah. Judges are humans, man,
exactly.
and I know exactly what you're talking about because I myself am a judge, and I was joking about the air conditioning thing, but because they have like a good booth to work and comfortably. but I know what they're going through, man, and it's too much
it's a
pressure,
mental thing.
and
Yeah.
it's so stressful because you need to be concentrated like 100%. You cannot talk to anyone, cannot have your phone on or anything like that. You cannot distract yourself with anything. Like you have to be on point all the time. Even if the surfer gets a small wave and do like a small turn and then kicks out, you have to score him correctly because sometimes the ocean goes flat and that 2.5 may count. So even if you think like, this is a shitty wave, it's not gonna count. I'm gonna throw like whatever score here. No, you have to give the correct score for every wave. And then, as I said, there's no robbery. There's nothing like that.
It's
But
human
errors
failure.
or
It's just human
yeah,
error. Yeah.
mistakes can happen.
Yeah.
And in this case, I don't think it's a mistake. It's something that it's been happening for years already that I already talked about. I'm not gonna repeat, but it's about the wave size thing. That's it. They
It's a
judge the wave
criteria
size.
problem. It's a
It's
criteria
criteria
problem.
problem,
Yeah.
and that's it, man. I think they judge it like the whole event. I think the judging for me this year, it's the best it's been for the past years. For recent years, we're always gonna have controversies, but it's been the most consistent so far. But we are always gonna talk about this every event. So yeah, it's subjective and everything. So,
Yeah.
but it's
It's just,
still they're
it,
doing good.
yeah. It's just obsessed me more than it's like, and I also like, I don't know, man. I feel like surfing doesn't have to be like soccer, where a decision made on the pitch is final. You know what I mean? I feel like there should be some room for challenge and review, or like, yeah, maybe not to every heat, maybe not to everything, but like, because I think if you go and you're a judge, you know this way better than I do, but like if you go and talk to all these guys, and if you give them another chance and another opportunity 30 minutes later and have the head judge, there could be different outcomes. There could be a form of a protest that would allow to that. And like it wouldn't have to be like every time. And like maybe you can make it like, oh, you can only raise a protest when the difference between 1 point, less than a point, surfer to surfer. Or you can make it something that is not gonna be too disruptive, but it's still fair because like guess what? Like you're having a semifinal and then you have a quarterfinal. You're gonna have most of the time you're gonna have a good amount of time until the next phase of the event, going from quarters, finals, semifinals start. So you're gonna have time. It's not gonna be, oh, you need to decide this now, or we can't go on. You know,
Yeah,
there should be a time for a process. There should be a time for an athlete. There should be some criteria for athletes to be able to have their waves judged again. And because in the end, it just hurts the whole, it hurts the fans, it hurts the surfers, it hurts fairness. And then
yeah,
yeah. So those are my 2 cents.
yeah.
That's
I just don't think it's gonna happen. Like
no, no.
free
Yeah.
surf, heat, or anything. It's, uh, it's out of conversation. But yeah, we saw Italo. We saw very upset Italo. Even his filmmaker just put a hat over
I
the
saw that.
WSL camera, and pretty sure he's gonna get fined for that because like, you cannot protest or anything there. It's always like
He
uh,
went to the judges' cabin. I don't know if you
yeah.
saw
Then he
that.
went to the judges tower, but that's
Yeah.
normal. It's been like that for decades. Like surfers, even through like if Victor Rivers threw coral reef rocks into the judges tower once at the Maldives. Like Neko Padaratz almost put the judges tower down. Patterson Rosa did that several times. Sandy Garcia, and man, so many.
Yeah.
And it's always like that. We saw Jeremy Flores, and yeah, those guys that have like a warmer blood. And I think it's good if they can protest. And I have this uh, like this experience. I've had this experience here in Brazil many times. Like amateur events, guys coming and protesting about their hate scores, and then the head judge has to go down and explain them why they got the score they got and why they didn't get the score they thought they should have, and that's normal, you know. But when you're talking about the elite and professional surfing, you're talking about careers, sponsors, money, and that's a lot more over
On
the
the
table.
line.
So
Yeah.
yeah, man. So it's hard, and
It's just like it's a matter of like resource allocation, right? Like you just want to make sure that you have more judges that are give rotation, that are going to give these guys rest, put them in a situation where you don't set them up to failure. You know, because in the end, you're setting up those judges to failure, and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
unfair.
that's
It's
true.
unfair. It's unfair to them. It's unfair to everybody. So yeah,
And
but
another thing that we don't count is that we are watching on TV, and then when you watch the waves like live on site,
different thing. Yeah,
it's different, man.
totally, one
Believe me,
hundred
it's
percent.
different.
I believe
So
you.
we cannot blame them for anything, but still, I'm gonna like remain uh, with my opinion, like keep my opinion that the the size of the waves in some places, as you said, like perfectly, it's not a matter of like 3 foot, difference, like half the size, paddle inside and catch a small wave like this. No, it was a set wave. The first wave was not the bigger wave of the set, but it was smaller. And then no, you cannot judge the wave the same way you're judging a bigger one. That's not true. That's not correct. Sorry. And yeah, that's it. Let's go jump to the next subject because this
Yeah,
one
yeah.
it's getting
We're
old.
we're bidding on a dead horse.
Yeah.
But okay, man. Next topic. I think this one is very interesting. That I'd love to hear your thoughts about it too. Is the meteor cut? You probably read on the media that there was a protest from the athletes. There was a meeting. Uh, some of that meeting's content was talked over the press, in some podcasts, and Stab and WSL. So basically, I'm just gonna make a summary for those who are not aware of what's going on in detail. So basically, as most of you probably know, there's going to be a cut in the middle of the year. The top 22 surfers are going to continue throughout the season, and everybody else is going to have to go for Challenger Series on the men's. And then the women's is the 10 top surfers carry on, and then the following uh, competitors are going to be also to the Challenger Series. And this week there was a meeting about uh, from WSL representatives and the surfers who were protesting. They wrote a letter in conjunction. 29 surfers signed, basically protesting against the meteor cut. It's bad for their mental health. It's bad for sponsors. Blah blah blah. All those things. Uh, first things first.
Mm.
I think my overall opinion is that I can see why WSL does the cut, right? I can see
Yeah.
why it's better for television. I can see why is more entertaining. I can see why it cut costs for them a lot. But I just think the way it's done is wrong. For example, like I think this year we have 10 or 11 events, right? You
10
gotta
or
give
10 events.
10 events. Okay.
And
I
then the
think,
final.
and then the final. So 11, right? So 10 plus the finals
Yeah.
day, it's 11. Uh, I think the cut should come at least on event 7 or 6, you know, and maybe you can make that cut 24 instead of 22 or 12 instead of 10 for the girls. I just think the cut is too early and too abrupt. Uh, it's and then you have a problem with the seating, right? So, for example, a surfer like João Chanca, which I don't want to put this as Brazilians, but he's having consistently in two events some of the best combined heat scores of the event. And he's been following with John a couple of times where, he would have won any other heat on that event except for
Yeah.
that one. And it's going to be very hard for him to make the cut, right? So, and on his rookie year, and he's not surfing poorly. He's surfing as well as anyone, especially if you take Pipeline and Bells. He could have easily been in the final or winning the event, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a method. I think the problem is not the cut. I think the problem is the method, but also on WSL's defense too. Like the athletes agreed to this at the beginning of the year, right? So this was agreed upon, and now there are stories that agreement was not a real agreement. So there's a little bit of like coercion from WSL to the athletes. Anyway, I think I gave my overall picture, what I think about it. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, man, you explained, I think, everything that happened. I I've got some like some information about from Pedro Robalinho, who's
Yeah, I
a
saw his interview too.
surfers coach. Did you watch the interview with the
Yeah.
Surf TV guys?
Yes.
So it was very interesting from him talking
Very.
about what happened and the way it happened and the way Elon Musk,
Elon Musk is now owner of WSL, guys.
not yet.
Dogecoin. Dogecoin is gonna be
Yeah,
paid instead of dollars.
yeah, they're gonna get paid on Doge coins. Yeah, but wow, I forgot the name. Come on,
Pedro
it's Elo.
Robalinha,
No, yeah, but about the president.
WSL. Oh, I forgot his name
Yeah,
too. That should be a quick Google
Eric
search.
Logan. Sorry,
Yes.
sorry, Elo, and like WSL, they have their point. They have the reason to do this. I never agreed back in 2011 when they tried to do this and it proved like wrong. It didn't work. Bobby Martinez got kicked out tour of, from being vocal and criticizing everything, and I got blocked on ASP Facebook because I was criticizing,
You did?
and I am still blocked. Uh, but I still can sleep well. I'm not worried about it. But yeah, but not. It's something that it's just opinion, but it just didn't let me, or even Bobby Martinez. But now there's a different time, different decade actually. Um, I can see like the reasons to do it, but still I don't like it. I prefer the tour with more surfers and more
Me too.
days, but they need less surfers and less days because it's too expensive. And they said that they need to do this, otherwise the tour it's in risk. Maybe
Well, I disagree
if
about that because the tour was like this forever and it was never a risk, you know? So it's like,
yeah, but before we had solid sponsors and much smaller structures and not that good payment. The prize money was ridiculous, so it was easier to run events. But after WSL assumed, prize money went like to the moon, and then it's very expensive for them. To run an event, it costs a lot every day. So I can see it, but still, like what we've heard about surfers trying to boycott the Margaret
yeah,
River
yeah, that
event,
was
they're
not true.
not going there. That's not true, man. Like they are definitely going there, and like there's a lot online. Surfers fighting to stay on tour, others fighting to get into the top five and get closer to the finals.
The
And I think we're still suffering the consequences from the pandemic. We're still suffering consequences from like the economic issues that the
recession.
whole world is, yeah, the
Yeah.
recession and everything. So it's a try. They're trying to do some adjustments. And I agree with the surfers, and I agree with the institution. Like both have the reasons and are not wrong. And yeah, let's see what happens at the end of the year, man. The start of next year, how they're gonna like figure this out and
Coruja,
adjust, you know.
do you know what I think? It's a huge waste. Seating rounds. Seating rounds are bullshit. No other sport has seating rounds. You know,
Yeah,
no other like. If you want to cut the length of the tour, do like the first two rounds 4-man heats. You know,
but nobody wants elimination heats, you
right?
know.
But if you give
Like
them the
that's something
chance,
that they already talked about a lot.
yeah.
And then
But
even
then,
WSL and surfers, they don't want to travel and then lose and go home. They want a second chance.
but that's every sport. You know, so like you either have one or the other. You either have like uh elimination round first, like every sport, tennis, soccer, volleyball, golf, whatever. Every sport is like that. I don't know how golf works, but you know, uh every sport has something like that. Uh or or you have the cut. It's either you can't have both. You know, it's just one way or the other. Because like if I'm a surfer, I'd much rather have more events and have 4-man heats and have elimination in the first round, cut half first round and like less heats, right? And have like maybe like 32 surfers versus like having 5 events. It's just like they're gonna have less heats regardless, less opportunity. So it's just like if that's the issue, every sport does it. Why can't surfing do it? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like I
But
don't know.
still, like surfing has that thing about being in the ocean, and
Right.
then you're not playing on a steel court where what matters is your performance and your opponent performance. You have the ocean, and then it's sometimes waves don't come your way. So
I
I think
understand
it's
that,
still unfair to lose and then go home without having a second
but
chance. We've seen that a lot, you know, like surfers going into the rapid charge and then come back stronger and then win event, you know.
listen, I
So
completely agree. But it's more like I think there's no perfect system, right?
no, there's not.
Yeah.
I don't know
So
one yet.
exactly. So I mean, I guess the perfect system is that we have WSL makes a lot more money and then they can afford, you know, not
Yeah,
having a
I
cut.
think
But
perfect system is UFC, and then I always thought that they should have pay per view, and that's it. You know, you want to watch, you have an annual package, you have a event package, you have a daily pass. You know, you have several things because if you're an addicted surfer that you want to watch every event, you pay the annual package, you know, the annual pass. And then if you're not like that, but you love to watch barrels and you buy the event, you buy Chopo, you buy G-Land, then you watch. And sometimes you cannot watch because of the time difference. You want to watch that day because it's a weekend, so you can stay awake during the event and watch. So you pay for that day. You know, have different plans. You know, different passes or things like that. Like I'm pretty sure less people are gonna watch, but these people that do watch, they will for sure make a good money for WSL.
well, and the thing too is like you can make, for example, like I think uh the WSL president Eric Logan, you were saying his name is,
Yeah,
that like the top final event brought more money to WSL than ever before, and like
yeah,
make that one pay per view. You
that
know,
one. Yeah,
yeah,
first.
yeah, make that one. Everybody will pay for it. Like, trust me, I will gladly pay $5 or $10 or whatever it is to watch it. And like, there are ways around it. You know, there are ways around it. You can make like a pay per view per event. Like, you can make like Pipe Masters and Chopu, like, you know, Prime or J Bay, like, you know, those are like $20 for the whole event. and then you make Brazil 5 because it's not as awesome to watch or whatever, you know? Like you can find ways to do it, but it's just like I rather have other methods and have more surfers surfing and being getting spawned for theirs because like it's just like every sport in the league in any sport like 22 is or 10 for it's too small, you know, it's too small of
Yeah,
a of a number to have. So like yeah, I agree with you. I think pay-per-view would be a great option and you can make it cheaper in a way that like you can partner with YouTube, you can partner with so many streaming services to make it
that's
like
it. Yeah.
yeah, it's like it would be a quick way. But I'm sure there's a reason for everything.
Hmm.
I'm sure there's like, you know, yeah. Anyway, man.
And the
It's like
last topic.
yes.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I have one
No,
last topic.
no, I think I said all my words, but my main final thought about this is that I would not like to see the cut. I would like to have like at least make it into event 7. You know?
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be good. And yeah, I was talking with William Cardozo and Mateus Navarro, who are
Right.
going to be on the Challenger Series next month in Australia. They start there, and they're traveling next week. Actually, William is traveling on the 30th, yeah, of April, and then Mateus is traveling on the 26th to Australia, and they're like really loving this new phase, in their lives because they are qualified.
Of course.
But so many good surfers, man. Like we have 10 people from Latin America only.
Right.
So there's so many good surfers that are out. And imagine you have only one surfer from Argentina who actually lives in Brazil, Santiago Muniz, who's Alejo's brother.
Yeah.
So he still has the Argentinian flag under his name, but he lives in Brazil for like
It's pretty
all his
much
life,
Brazilian at
actually.
this point. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's Brazilian, and I think he's the only one, and that's all the other guys are Brazilians. So how come we're gonna see like as the guys were saying at the podcast, Surf TV, to see like surfers from Chile, even more Peruvians. Man, it's gonna be hard, and I still think this three division system that they made, it's not too good, but
Yeah, because
let's see.
you're making it impossible for people to run the QS because it doesn't pay much. Like you know, it's like those one
Yeah,
star
that's it.
events. Yeah,
Doesn't pay anything.
it doesn't pay much. So you have like one star event in Japan. Where like who can make those? You know, it's like it's so expensive, and you have this huge disparity between like someone that makes $1,000 or $2,000 a month in Florida is very different than someone that lives in Florianopolis and makes like
Yeah,
$500 a month. You know, so it's like you're putting a huge disadvantage based on location and economics. It's just like it's like when we
no, but
tell
that's
people,
but that's one thing that they're defining this, because they say that it's cheaper for you to travel inside your area or inside your country than having to fly abroad to be on
right,
small events, because before that, if you wanted to be in the top 26, 96, that previously the top 96 were inside the premium events, the 6 stars, and then those 6 stars, those 10,000 points events, they use it to qualify people more, because if you have like a fifth place on a bigger event, it's even better than winning a small event. And but for you to be there, you had to choose events like 3,000 points events, over the globe. You go to South Africa, maybe you go to Martinica or El Salvador, and now you can travel closer to your house. But the problem, in my opinion, this one is good, but the problem, in my opinion, is that it's only 10 from South America. You know,
How
same
many?
number in same number in Europe, man. That doesn't make sense. If it's 10 in Europe, and then you have to consider uh,
Population.
yeah, the population, but the history, you know, the numbers, you can count like how many European surfers make the
No.
CT every year. They're great surfers, of course, but they're less. Like all those countries are less than just one country, which is Brazil. So I think we should have at least like 18 spots for South America if you have 10 for Europe. So that's my point, you know, not only 10. That's the only thing that I think it's not correct. But having like small events close to home, it's not good prize money, of course. Sometimes you have to make a final to just pay the expenses to be there, but still it's cheaper than traveling to like Central America or even the US. I remember Mateus Navarro winning events in Virginia Beach, making finals in Huntington Beach on 1,000 point events. Even winning the event maybe was just only enough for him to pay the expenses, you know.
Yeah.
So
Especially in Huntington, or it's like so
yeah,
expensive.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. And what I was gonna talk about was the Jordy Smith trying to force an interference against Jackson Baker, man. Do you see that?
No, I actually missed that.
Man, try yeah, just after we finish here, go to you can yeah, you can see it on the WSL Brazil on Instagram. It's there. I'm gonna send you. But still, if you watch the replay of this heat, it's between Jackson Baker and Jordy Smith. Jackson Baker was winning the heat easily because Jordy was out of sync with the sets and everything.
Yeah.
So he had like 14 something points against maybe 8 or 9 points combined from Jordy. And Jordy, I think he needed like a 9.5. And man, I, yeah, it was like 3 minutes to go, maybe, or 4 minutes to go. Jordy had priority, and then this wave came. Was a set wave. Look at a really good wave, a promising wave. And then Jordy had the priority, and then Jackson Baker was just beside him. And Jackson started to paddle to catch the wave, or force Jordy to use his priority. Same
Right.
thing that every surfer does all the time. And then Jordy paddles here, and then let me see this one, yeah, and then it's a right. So Jordy and then
Yeah.
Jackson. So then Jordy paddles, and then Jackson paddles, and then Jordy he starts to pedal hard, so he decided to catch the wave. So he already lost priority there because even if he stops, priority shifts to Jackson Baker because he committed to the wave, he committed to catch the wave. So that's the priority rule. So Jordy committed to catch the wave and started to paddle hard. And then he suddenly stopped to paddle and then looked into the sky like pretending he was not gonna catch the wave anymore. And then he points his board towards Jackson. So he points his board horizontally. He had like free area to take off here. Like he
Yeah.
had all the space, you know, all the room to take off here. He points his board towards Jackson Baker and then pretends he's not wanting the wave anymore and maybe kick out, you know, just paddle backwards to catch the wave behind. And then Jackson looks like, okay, I'm going to catch this wave, you know, it's a good wave. And then Jordy, man, like very smart move. Suddenly he just pedals again towards uh, Jackson Baker. And then Jackson, he's almost taking off. He sees Jordy coming his way, and then he just pulls
Pulls the
back.
nose.
And then Jordy tries to take off, and then man, he was not gonna make it because he's like sideways. the
Yeah.
wave goes this way and it's
Just
sideways.
eats it.
And then he looks like a cook because he looks like me actually. He tries to stand up, you know.
How do you call that? We should do
React.
a reenactment. No, where we go both to
Okay.
the beach with our boards and show
Yeah,
what happens.
let's do it, man. And that's funny because he tries to take off sideways and then he does like a floater over the leap and then he just
Eats it.
then do horrible wipeout, you know, it's ridiculous
It
wipeout.
happened to me so many times.
Yeah, same to me. And then there's no interference mark. And some people said that there was it should have been, you know, an interference over Jackson Baker because the rule says that the surfer with priority has like he needs like a freeway and then cannot be hassled or anything, and he has possession of the wave. And but Jackson did not do that. He was just paddling, trying to sell the wave, but he was never on Jordy's way. Jordy tried to make it
Yeah,
look
yeah.
like Jackson was on his way.
It
And
sounds.
that, man, I was thinking like judges didn't give interference for none of those guys, but the article 11.19 of the rule book almost could be used to penalize Jordy if you use
Yeah, that's what I
your
thought.
priority to harm the other guy without a priority or with a lower priority,
Yeah.
then you get an interference. But this article says that if you do that outside of the takeoff zone, so not on the takeoff zone. So if Jackson caught the wave and then Jordy dropped in on him, like maybe some meters down the line, you know, you just take off to stop and block the other surfer who's been surfing the wave for seconds, then you get an interference. So that's not the case, you know, so they could not use that article that I don't know if I'm correct saying article, but we say artigo in Portuguese.
No,
But
I think it's correct.
yeah, but whatever. And then they didn't give interference, and then Jordy was pissed about that, and he went to
Of course
the
he
jury
was.
star.
He's
He went to
Jordy.
the jury star, man.
He's
Can you
Jordy.
believe that? And
He
then I
is-
was thinking, like, imagine if it was Medina doing that. He
Oh
was
my
gonna
God.
be hated like forever in 5 continents.
I mean,
or
dude,
6
George.
continents, even in Antarctica.
Yeah, dude, Jordy's so full of it. I was never a fan of his. He's, yeah. What
Yeah,
we
I don't
call-
have anything, but I think he's a great surfer, and that's it.
No, he's an excellent surfer, but like whenever I see him on videos or any interview, I'm just gonna say this in Portuguese because you know, obviously he's watching, but he just seems like a cuzão, pra caralho. You know, it's basically he just seems like a huge dick. That's what it comes off as.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just my 2 cents.
yeah. I talked to him for a couple seconds in South Africa once or twice, the gas station in Jeffreys Bay. And
I hope he's
in
not
Palais.
listening because he's huge. It will kick my ass so easily.
And then in Balito, and he was nice, you know. He's more like not a Brazilian style person, of course. He's more
Yeah.
like maybe cold-blooded person. But he was nice. to
But
me.
he's
It
South
was-
African.
I
He
was-
shouldn't be. You know?
Yeah. I was asking him
shouldn't
about
be.
surfboards, and it was nice, you know. But yeah, some people say that the same as you, like he doesn't seem to be the nicest person, or
It's very
something
different
like
than
that.
Mike February. Just saying that.
Yeah, it seems like, yeah, but
Yeah. Well, what do we know? Maybe he's a really nice guy and we're just being dicks. I am being the dick.
sorry guys, and I'm going.
No, it's all right.
And then it comes Zachariah.
Zacarias, it's the greatest dog ever.
Zachariah.
Wasn't his birthday
He's-
the other day?
Yeah, he turned 10.
Nice, Zaka. Happy birthday,
Yeah.
man.
Old bloke, man. Hmm?
Nice.
No, he
Well,
was just calling me here because he wants to go to bed, and I need to put him on the bed.
Oh,
because he's
no,
too
you-
low to jump. So.
No, you should, man. Make sure you give Zaka my hello. And no, let's call it. I think I covered all the topics I wanted to cover. Do you need anything else? Do you want to talk about anything else?
Just talk about the ratings, the female ratings, the ladies ratings. Let me just find it here because I don't have it. But I was just gonna say that Brisa Hennessy is not the leader anymore, but she's still very close. So the three first are very close to each other, which are Carissa Moore, Tyler Wright, and Brisa Hennessy. And then there's a big fight to qualification, man. It's a big fight, like down the ratings.
Yeah, and on the
So the top
men's,
10 will be very like Margaret River. I think Margaret River is going to be a nice event because everyone's going to do their
yeah,
best, like
now
ever.
everybody's fighting.
They're going to hit the end section harder. And then I hope we have the box, big barrels. And
I know.
it's going to
Last
be
year we
nice.
last year we didn't, but yeah, it's gonna be. I think on the men's, I was looking at it today, and I think between the fourth place and the 11th or something, the difference was like a little over 1,000 points. There, everybody was
Yeah.
very close. So yeah, because it's like it's only 4 events. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
It's like there's a
Anything
lot.
that you do like differently, you jump a lot or you
Yeah,
fall a lot.
exactly. And like, wasn't there years where we had like 12, 13, 14 events a year? Like back in the day, there's used to be a lot
Yeah.
more.
We
So
had
it's
like
like,
16 events,
yeah, this is too few
we used to
events.
have like 3 events in a row in France during the summertime. You had Biarritz, you have Hossegor, you have Lacanau, then you
And
had
then Mundaka right next to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then you had like 2 events in Portugal, Figueira, the Foz, and Cascais, or and
Oh
have
man, we should have more. Which I feel like 10, maybe 16 is too much, but like 10 is too little. I think like 12, 12,
no,
14
I
would be a good
actually
name.
think about the surfers and all the logistics, and it feels like 10 is good, in my
Really?
opinion. Of course, I would love to have like 50 events, but once a week we have a different event. But thinking about the surfers, man, and knowing them as I know some of them, and what they get through to travel with the boards, and then waiting periods, and then hotels, and then
It's a lot.
calls and holds, and then the time difference. It's hard, man. It's
No,
really
for
hard.
sure.
Think about traveling to the US, like where you are in California, and then competing there, and then coming down to Brazil
Oh my
to
God.
Saquarema, and then from Saquarema you travel all the way to South Africa in these 3 events within 30 days.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
insane.
it's a lot, man. It's a lot to go through. It's a lot different boards and different clothes. Sometimes you have to wear like a full 4-3 wetsuit, and the next week you are surfing on your trunks and sweating, and then the other week you're surfing cold water again. So whew,
Now
it's not
imagine doing
easy, man.
that. Now imagine doing that for 30 years, like Kelly.
Yeah, yeah. You have to love.
This is
You
a
have to
machine,
love that
man.
much.
It's a machine. Uh
Another thing, just to finish. Do you see like what's the name of the show? The Apple TV show,
oh
WSL,
yeah, I saw today. I have it on. I mean, I saw the preview.
something Win or Break or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, it could be cool. I don't
Let me
know.
see here.
It's like a reality thing
It's the same producers.
of the Formula One, right?
Yeah, the Formula One, man. It's gonna be really nice. I'm pretty sure. How do you watch on Apple TV? Like, do you have to have a subscription or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. It's really. I mean, in the US, I think it's really cheap. It's like 4.99. Yeah, it's 4.99. But
Apple TV Plus, it's
yeah.
called. And
Oh,
then on Apple TV Plus, it's the name of the show. It's Make or Break.
yeah. By the way, I need to share with you my password for Stab, so you can watch all
Oh,
the all the
I
shows.
have, I have.
Oh, you have access now?
Yeah, Danielle with Beva from
Oh
Pressure
yeah,
Nova.
he reached out to me this week wanting to help
I
with this
told him
podcast.
to call you. Yeah,
But I said, yeah, man, let's do it. And then he never got back. Biva,
man.
answer my text.
He no, he did. Yeah, answer his text, man. But he did himself, man. He did his researches, and now all the Prancha Nova interviews that we made with Felipe, with Iago Dora, with the Shapers like Mayhem and Cabianca, they're all on your favorite uh,
Podcast.
podcast platforms, on Deezer and YouTube and
We should
Spotify.
we should make a partnership with him and do
Yeah,
like
for
a
sure.
collaboration. Yeah.
I am there as well,
I know.
I
I
did
know.
interviews with Felipe and Iago, so
Are they all the interviews, are they all in Portuguese?
they're all in Portuguese, but on YouTube soon where you can find them with subtitles.
Okay, cool. Well, when they are on YouTube,
I know, and then of course the interviews with Brit Merrick
Bob Miolos,
And Mayhem at
yeah,
Biolos are
Bob
in
Miolos.
English with Portuguese subtitles.
Cool. Yeah. Well, let's make sure we share when the interviews are up. Let's make sure we share on our social media and also talk about it here.
Yeah, just really here to say, yeah, that's it. Our good friend Mike Bernardoni is making the edit of the subtitles, and it's gonna be live soon.
Awesome,
Let's
man.
wait.
Can't wait. Awesome. All right, man. Thank you so much. Tell Zaka I say hello and have a great night, brother.
You too, brother.
See you
Have a
next
great
time.
night. I'm going to bed because it's already almost 10 here.
Go
See
for it.
ya.
All right. See ya. Bye.